Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tech Tuesday.
Yay.
My name is Ben.
I'm Tim.
And we are here answering questions, as always, for the people. So, we have 25 comments on the last Tech Tuesday video, so we'll do our best to go through those as quickly as possible. But before we begin, two things. But first, as always, Tim, do you have any tips, any questions maybe you want to ask the people, or possibly even some fashion statement tips?
No, just relax a little bit. It'd be all right.
Yep. Yeah, I think we could use a lot of that around here for sure.
It's Cadillac, man.
Yeah.
Real smooth.
The only thing I could add to that is stay tuned for the Pro Touring Truck Shootout, which we are going to this week. It's this week. They had some rain up there in Kentucky, Beach Bend, Kentucky, or Bowling Green. So everything seems to be clearing up just fine. So if you are available, April 11th, April 12th, come on up there, see us there. Specifically on Friday, we're hosting the Drivability Cruise. And we've got some cool friends from Huntsville, Alabama coming up to join us with a teal blue 1969 C10 to help lead that charge. As well as Tim, you're going to be on stage answering some questions, doing some stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to come by and ask Tim questions personally, he'll be doing some live Q&A. He might be up there with some of the guys from BTR, QA1, a bunch of different organizations, but also just on his own, maybe him and I together. Some details pending, but there'll be a lot of stuff out there to go check out. So, yeah.
Well, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
It's a nice day out. Hopefully there's not a lot of weather. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
Seems like every time that event happens, there's rain. Just infinite rain.
Or wind.
Lots of wind.
But that's April for you, I guess. But anyway, without further ado, we'll get right into the questions for you guys. Tim, you want to take the honors of question 1 this week?
Yeah. Karims, 8416. Thank you guys for addressing my question and clarifying. The confusion occurred since the discount code was still applying and with the current prices making it appear lower. Makes sense now.
Yep.
Yeah, glad we could help out.
Yep.
I don't actually remember that question, but I don't really focus on the pricing and customer service side of things. I don't even do phone calls anymore.
That was the
Just some outgoing stuff. That's normally what I do. Is
Kill Shot 2 trade-up program.
tuner stuff.
But, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's all good, man.
Yeah, that was a bit wonky there for a bit. We got that sorted out.
So.
Kyle Condo's 9575. Bring that BBF kit out. I'm ready to buy it now. Thank you for answering my questions. Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll be add more stuff in. We got a massive amount of intakes. We're gonna be running
ton of intakes. There's actually a lot over here.
We got a whole bunch over here. But that's good though. That means we're not gonna be waiting when you guys go to order it. We won't be waiting on inventory. It'll just be here, ready to go.
Yep.
Don Dotner, awesome. Thanks, guys.
No.
DMCK 2533. I'll be interested in a 460 kit as well. Yeah.
Yep. Here we go. We've got D Flores, my 89 Chevy. He says, "Okay, I guess I didn't elaborate very well on his last question. He had about the wiring from last week. That is totally okay. DF Flores, the wiring that is left over from my TBI that I'm switching over to the FY. I'm just unsure of what needs to be removed in this second question. I have to do what has to be removed. The second question is do I have to lock the distributor, and what are the benefits of doing it or not doing it?
Timing control.
Yeah, definitely lock out the distributor.
If you lock it out, it's not going to mechanically move around or anything. The computer, once you correlate the digital versus mechanical values, it's like, hey, this is 15. This is what I'm forcing it to. This is 20. This is 30, etc. That way, it's just a bunch more accurate. Because if it's trying to mechanically advance, it's going to skew them numbers. You may be indicating 15, but if you go look at a balancer, it's about 6 degrees high or something crazy like that. So you end up with some unfortunate ping or knock or things, or just bad running or low on power situations or over advancing.
Yep. And as far as extra wiring, just tie it back.
Tie it back. You can depend it if you got the right tools.
Yep.
For just after you get everything hooked up and you're just like, I don't want to ruin these wires, but I can depin them.
Yep.
Because as long as you're not damaging the wire and connector, it's not a big deal. You might need one for a rainy day.
Or a future fuel level update.
Yeah. Or anything like that, yeah.
No. Eric Spears says Tim was always my favorite to chat with on the phone.
It's true.
R.I.P. to Tim on the phones.
Yeah. No more Timmy phone.
No more Tim phone. Well,
and
to the select few.
It's funny. I don't even really do like anything other than internal emails anymore. Because I stay,
even that.
Like, how long did I stay on the dyno last week? Like, I'm away from my desk a lot.
Quite a bit.
Like, I'm either away from Aces on business or show or something, some kind of conference somewhere, or I'm actually physically hands-on outside testing, doing a thing.
No, but
just to build things.
How cool is it to get a customer service call and then like just faintly in the background you just hear some big block Chevy action going to town on the dyno. So
or my Tahoe.
Yeah, or your Tahoe.
My Tahoe makes 161 horsepower,
Weird flex, but okay.
248 foot-pounds of torque on a nearly 300,000-mile engine that does breathe the oil. It doesn't leak any. It breathes it. So that'll mess with your octane.
I don't know if that's a flex, but
it just a reality of a lot of people got the same kind of build. Some people have really clean motors and well-built motors. A lot of people, they just got a small block that leaks and breathes oil and stuff, and they're trying to get away from their old Q-jet or their failed spider injection, like in my case. Just making stuff run. I still daily drive that Tahoe. And you know what? It started up, first hit this morning, and it was terribly cold here in Tennessee.
Yeah, what's up with that? I mean, I know Tennessee is wacky weather, but it was literally like 80 sometime this past couple days, and now it's, in the low 40s.
70 degrees with a chance of snow.
Yep.
That's
how it is.
My voice sounds like this a lot lately.
Yep. Oh, and the pollen. You got to add that in there.
Yeah, the yellow stuff.
Jam13210. Thanks for the info. I'm currently working on my tune. I recently rebuilt the transmission. A Tim's man on rebuilding the transmission with the Transgo 4L60E Pro Shift Kit. That's awesome. And a Circle D 2800 stall converter. When I go into drive, I don't feel it go into gear. When I give it gas, it doesn't move till I'm up on the throttle when it suddenly grabs the gear. It's not bad when I go into manual first, but it still doesn't feel tightly engaged. Would increasing line pressure in each gear specifically change anything, since I've changed things in the valve body and pump? So if so, what would be the appropriate ramp table?
Now, there's not a whole lot of massive tuning you can do around that. Your Circle D 2800 stall, you want to make sure that's a 2800 stall. If you got a crazy stall in there, it's going to feel like the whole transmission's slipping, because that is just a fluid coupler. It got a turbine and a stator, and the motor spins one, and then that spins the other for the transmission to have the go power out the backside. That is, verify what your stall converter is. I have bought that particular very high stall factory converter as well, built big triple plate monster, and it was realistically more like a 3500 stall, not the 24 that I ordered. It wasn't from Circle D, it was from somebody else, but Circle D is good stuff. But you might be dealing with that, or you might be dealing with something is bypassing fluid pressure in your valve body.
I don't know. This guy builds transmissions for fun.
I really do need hobbies.
No, that's it. I mean,
no, it's why I make my personal YouTube stuff. It's not for any kind of other than the bit of education.
It's cool.
It's just that is literally my hobby.
One of the secrets that Tim never, well, I'm sure maybe you've divulged to some people, is that got him through college is building transmissions.
100%. I used a 4L60E transmission to pay for my college
So
degree.
cool.
I never got a loan, no nothing. I just built a bunch of transmissions and paid cash.
Yep.
It was awesome.
So you might know a thing or two or 5.
I just read a bunch of weird books, dude.
No.
Practiced.
No.
Practiced like any other thing.
Anyway. After you, sir.
Let's see. Drag brake. So I'm curious, is there a way to make the map sensor read in the way where it shows negative pressure at idle? So as you get in a boost, you can change to positive pressure. Well, you can actually, depending on the system, there is a boost reading there. So you can use it to indicate your boost if you want to. I think this is just in a jackpot and maybe the wild card currently. I have to double check that. Not a feature I use a lot because I just rely on my map. It is an absolute, so if it's 14 and some change, it's about what our elevation is here. I think it's 14.1 where we're at right now. 14.7. You know, if you're at sea level, 58 degrees, gliding across the surface.
Yep.
But, yeah, some folks don't like to see absolute readings. They want to see PSI-G, PSI-V, not PSI-A.
That's fair. It's a lot of PSIs to keep up with.
Well, the common one, somebody says, oh, it's X amount of PSI, it's PSI-G, which is a gauge reading, which is calibrated from our atmospheric pressure at 0.
Okay.
So if it's
That makes
anything
sense.
above that, like if it's reading 5, then, or say, for instance, it's reading like 7 PSI-G, that's actually 7 pounds of pressure. So that's above the 14 and some change you get. But if you're reading PSI-A at 7 PSI, that means you're actually reading a vacuum as compared to our atmosphere.
Interesting.
I wrote this really cool document. No, speaking of which, documents. So I wrote a definitions guide for the Killshot software itself. I've sent it off to the editors. They're doing a bunch of stuff, and it will be published on the webpage soon. I literally went through every menu option in the Killshot software and gave it a big fat definition, and some of them, well, a lot of them, I gave a little bit of examples. So if you're just getting into the tuning on this, that is section 2 of my tuning guide. I'm working on section 3 right now, where I'll be using that on my 5.7 Vortec motor, Killshot, Gambler distributor, 267,000 mile engine, but I'm going to go through one screenshot at a time and then couple it with the video series that I'm slowly coming out with about tuning related items.
Yep.
It's not going to be, the moon tune. It's going to be what normal people need out of using tuning software.
Yep. It's a, massive
It is a task. It took weeks to write that definitions guide.
That's
because
actually why we haven't posted any more advanced tuning software videos. Is just because he's been working on that tuning document. I don't even know how many pages it is. It's massive.
I think the current state's like 43 pages. I could have made it 80, just so you know. But
if that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what will.
The thing
it's like
is,
a thesis.
All those items in there, the only information that exists out there about it is literally what I wrote just the other day.
Yep.
So there's a few items that's already got some definitions and whatnot, but that is going to be the resource. So I went back.
But
and
it
forth
needed to happen
with engineering department and sent it to a few of the authorized tuners. I had them check it. And we went back and forth, and everybody agrees on one format of that, and that's what we're going with. So, editors, a little bit better artwork, and it'll be out there for y'all's consumption should you want it. I'm sure they'll make a big what-to-do social media post about announcing, hey, by the way, if you want this, here it is. Go here to the page, click, download, enjoy, give it a read. It's very dry.
Yep. It is, but, again, needed. Odie's Garage. Are all sensors, oil coolant, TPS, IAC, MAP, ECT, etc., interchangeable from the Killshot to the Killshot 2? I'd like to carry spares on longer trips. Also, is there a Killshot 2 specific installation document? Like a manual?
I thought we made a manual for that. They not put it out yet? They may have not put it out.
No, it's there's a manual out there. I does like a quick install document.
Ooh, I'm a big fan of those.
I don't know. That I'm not sure. There should be. Didn't.
We didn't make a quick install manual for that one yet.
Okay.
We're going to make a quick install manual for all systems, but it, I'm one of the people that writes them, so
Yes.
it takes time.
There should be a manual
Of
for
my
that.
14-hour work day, it's a lot to squeeze in.
But yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, yeah, everything is interchangeable. The difference is fuel pressure sensors inside the throttle body, so you don't have to worry about.
The fuel pressure sensor, that's a little bit harder to find, but it's just a 0 to 100 pressure transducer it threads in. It's just kind of the smaller size one. Still the same 3-pin connector, all that jazz.
Other than that, I'm not really sure if there's anything else. Let's just go ahead.
The TPS, the IAC, the EV1 short body injectors, which is a pico injector, all that stuff is fairly interchangeable. And in a pinch, you can get them off the shelf. There's a few resources out there, mainly on the ACES Facebook stuff. Somebody put out a list of some of the interchangeable stuff, so even the map sensor.
Well, I'm on our unless it's not loaded. I'm on our website now, and I'm not seeing a Killshot 2 manual.
Good.
There
means
there is a Killshot 2 manual, but I don't know why it's not on here.
Yeah, because we spent time editing the thing.
So,
anyways, we're gonna give somebody a headache about that later and get
we'll
that on the website.
put that on the website.
Yeah.
Wow.
Go rattle a cage.
I'm not sure why that's not on there.
It used to be on the website.
I don't know.
Because it had the new logo and everything.
We'll put it on there. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Ant-Man 993. What could cause open loop at idle? Stays in open loop from 20 seconds to over a minute when it goes back to closed loop.
When you just start it up, when you just start that thing up, it's going to be open loop for about 20 seconds, and then it's going to go into closed loop if that's what you're talking about. It's literally the heating element inside the O2 sensor is heating up to temperature. So, it gets up to like 650 degrees or so, and then whenever it sees a certain resistance value as supplied by the heating circuit itself, it says, hey, now let's go into closed loop operation.
Yep.
If that's what you're talking about. If not, please elaborate.
Yep. If it never goes into closed loop, obviously that would be a problem. But
yeah, it might mean you have too much fuel at idle.
Yeah.
It's cooling. It's keeping it cooler, so it's not heating up enough to see the resistance value to say, hey, by the way, it's safe for closed loop operation. We're not going to foul up the sensor reading.
Yep. What is the replacement map sensor? Also from Ant-Man for an ACES 1041 that I can buy from a parts store.
3-bar. I think the one I
AC
bought
Delco
last
3-bar
time,
map sensor.
I think I got it. It was like for an LSA, I believe, or a Chevy Cobalt. I can't remember. But we do have a part number for that. There is a list that I put together. I can see if one of these guys can. We've put it into a document or something.
Maybe Reed can, or me or whoever's. I'd probably Reed put the part number here somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, no.
It's just a 3-bar GM map.
Yeah.
I thought it was the one from the LSA. We'll check.
If we don't have it, we'll cut it out. Whatever. But
Yeah.
we'll see if we can find it or even respond to this comment with it. Anyway.
Really just want to post that list.
Yeah.
I worked really hard on that list. That's why I got all those stupid sensors all over my desk. That big pile of sensors. Somebody had said, these are the sensors that work with your stuff. I felt obligated to spend hundreds of dollars, and I bought all these sensors, these IACs and TPSs and pressure transducers, just to plug them in and see what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mercruz Ricker.
Something like that. 5510.
Mercruz.
Mark. Yep.
Yeah, 5510. Any chance the next software update will have transfer learned data to the main VE table and the current one being used? Would save time and help getting the fuel dialed in quicker. Appreciate all you guys do. We may do that eventually. Like I said, we've messed with that before, and we've got nothing but headaches out of making peaks and valleys into the main VE table, and then it actually has to learn differently. So it sounds silly, but it does slow down the process a little bit. So if we got to do it, we're going to work really hard to make sure it works as it really should.
Yep.
There's a lot of other companies out there that do that, and not every time does it work just perfect. So
yep.
We was like, people that are going to be tuning are going to tune. So we're just going to put out the best data, and eventually we'll probably do that transfer learned data. We're just not in a hurry for it.
Touche. Black Betty 23. I believe that's Black Betty right there in the profile picture. Hey, fellas. Love the new logo. Thank you. The racing logo. For a future update, can we get the data log to have a setting for metric and imperial? I don't mind KPAs, but I sure would love to see Fahrenheit rather than Celsius for my temperatures.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a massive deal. It's a bit of an update. Oh, yeah. I'll add that to the engineering list again. We get that asked. So we can in the software see all the imperial metric, all that jazz, but when it comes to the data logging, everything's in Capus. Everything's in metric. Everything is in everywhere else in the world measurements. Not freedom units.
Unfortunately not.
That's okay though. We want to bend it to what you want.
Yep.
You know? If we can have an option to data log an imperial, I'd really like to see more independence on selecting what you want in metric versus imperial. Like, I like my maps in KPAs. Some people like it in PSI. I don't. Some people like Fahrenheit. Some people like Celsius.
Yep.
So, I'm okay with whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you know, I worked at a place one time that was actually against the rules to use anything in imperial.
well, that's crazy, but
No,
probably
that makes sense.
military stuff.
No, it wasn't military stuff. No.
I don't know. I mean, we have a full list of like changes for the software, so we can definitely put that on there as a change.
I'm building this. So I have this meeting with the authorized tuners on a semi-regular basis, and we just, I'll focus on getting all their ideas that they've got from their customers and stuff that I've got from you guys, the people, and I'll put it in this massive list and send it out every once in a while about updates and changes that make the most sense that people want to do. I like to see that.
Yep. And Jim Corman 5842 says, update on when merch will be here. That's a great question. I did send in all of our samples already. So
the merch group chat has been buzzing lately. I've had to put it on mute.
We have all of our designs. We have all of our samples in. So hopefully relatively soon. I don't know if I can put a time frame on it, but very soon. So it's exciting. It's kind of in the, I guess, 3 out of 4 stages where they're manufacturing, and then 4 out of 4 would be getting it here and selling it. So it's close. But we're starting more with a just generic product line and more of like just the basic stuff and like our main logo and branding and stuff like that. And then we'll change things up here and there. Who knows? We might have a weird Tim catchphrase T-shirt or something. I don't know. He doesn't. I just threw that at him.
I don't have any catchphrases.
I don't know. Maybe it just says any hoozles on there. Ooh. No. Okay.
Ray Inman.
Eager to jump to the next
Juliet
one.
7 Juliet. When will you guys have a learn table that matches the VE table? Well, later this year in the jackpot, we're probably going to have a VE table match our learn table. We're going to have it biggin'. But we got to add a lot more RAM for that processor to be able to handle that kind of workload effectively.
Yep.
That's all we're waiting on for that. But the first one will probably be jackpot, because it has a way spicier chipset in it.
Yep. Definitely.
Car Camp, don't understand why the difficulty is such when a guy plugs into the laptop and hits a switch to turn on the screen to observe only and use the laptop as the tuning. Then when it gets unplugged, it turns the screen back to being tunable again.
I guess using the laptop and the handheld, switching between the two.
I think that could be it. The laptop will take CAN priority away from everything else.
Yeah.
It'll just, because it is.
I mean, you have to unplug the handheld, don't you? Unless there's a splitter.
Unless there's a splitter.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able to have the handheld plugged in if you're using the laptop.
Yeah, but who wants a switchable splitter? And that's really cool.
Or switch the screen to observable and only use the laptop as tuning? That's a switch. Oh,
but it
okay,
comes down
yeah,
to CAN priority.
Yep.
You know, it's funny. I'm sure somebody's going to actually make a switchable splitter at some point that has like no negative effects. Because when you're dealing with canned traffic, you're dealing with twisted pair stuff that's real sensitive.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful with what kind of switch you use, whether it's a chipset or what have you not. But you know that is a doable thing. It's nothing we're in a hurry for. But yeah, that laptop when it's plugged in with a handheld, it will take priority. So it will give it a headache and a half.
Yep. How I understand it is, and what Tim has explained to me, is that it's, you know, it's when you're splitting data, then you're not, or splitting how you're transmitting data, it slows down how much is being processed as well. And so having one take priority of the over the other allows you to not lose out on any of that. So, but again, if there's a way to do it, I'm sure eventually we might get to that point and without having to lose too much on the back end. But
Jesse Wick 85. I wonder if this birth year. Are you the same generation as me? Did you watch Power Rangers? I did. I had to watch and everything.
You're not. Look,
hey guys, love the videos. Recently bought a jackpot for a swap, and messing around with the software, I noticed that the learn table and the fuel table don't have the same amount of cells. Would it be possible to have an adjustment amount of cells? I like the resolution in my tables. That's true. We just covered that. We want to make our VE tables, especially in the jackpot, with a lot more people buy the jackpot. We want to make that have the same amount of cells as the learning table. And then when they have the same amount of cells and it has that capability, then you might seeing stuff like transfer to base operations at that point. Because right now, big table, little table, they don't line up. There's a lot of in-betweens. So, yeah, I like to see that. We should have that later in the year, honestly, for that, because that's like another bigger, spicier variant.
Yeah. Just more RAM, as Tim says. Need more RAM. Rocco Sholey, 165. Quick question for you guys. Does the fuel pressure regulator get hooked up to the manifold or ported vacuum? Probably just me being blind, but I couldn't find an answer anywhere.
Manifold.
You're good,
Takes
bro.
manifold. 1-to-1. So if the manifold is pulling a vacuum and it stabilizes that regulator, if it's seeing a bit of boost, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 pound of boost is 1 pound of fuel pressure, so that the fuel injector doesn't mechanically lock itself open or closed.
Yep.
Hashtag nerd stuff.
Mark Hughes.
Nah. Was that it? Was that the one?
Mark Hughes, yeah.
Fine. Mark Hughes, 4674. I'm seeing a lot of issues with killshot owners having to cut or miss about 4,000 to 4,500 range. I have this issue as well. Running a 351 Windsor MSD locked out distributor stock coil, small cam with a performer intake. Nice choice. Other than that, stock motor and ideas. Thanks for the help. Interesting. So I've just got a whole flood of message about that myself, and it's something that I am currently looking into, actually. That's why I put my Tahoe on the dyno the other day to put it under maximum load. I couldn't get it out of the distributor I have in there, so I'm going to put a different distributor in, a different ECU, and go through this whole cycle of trying to figure out what combination causes that. Because I've seen a few people got that, but I don't know if it's a distributor, a pickup, a combination, something to do, something funny, too much fuel, and not enough spark, who knows. But I'm looking into it. Legitimately looking into it. So
stock coil, maybe?
No, I think it's something. It's got to be something funny. But yeah, I appreciate the concern. I see that as well. So I'm just going to see if it's not something on the back end or something on our end.
Yeah. And not that it really matters, but we've also seen people who have had maybe a similar issue. They switch to the Killshot 2 and it solves it. Not saying you go buy a Killshot 2 to solve your problem, but something maybe even in the calibration.
Well, also, I mean, using an MSD with a locked out distributor stock coil, switch that around, let the MSD do all the spark control, and because MSD is still going to be a retard box at the end of the day, it's just going to retard timing. Set up in that configuration and then run the RPMs out from the MSD box to the Killshot itself.
Also,
and set it up as CDI. That way the MSD is doing it and see if the problem persists. That way it's going to help you narrow down, is it your coil or a distributor, or is it something with us? So that's what I'm looking into.
Yeah, true.
I got a whole bunch of ignition boxes I'm playing with just to make sure to see what kind of common combination is doing this thing.
And I talked to a guy this past week, Arnie. Shout out Arnie from Pro Touring again. Maybe in the possibility realm future of expansion, we make a box for LS. So almost like MSD 6AL or High Roller, which would be our equivalent for LS.
Oh, you mean the full house?
Well, yeah, the full house is just a massive CDI box.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah, it does all individual coils. It has all the pickups. It has RPM outputs and all that jazz if you want to run a tack. And if you want to pick a big old carburetor on top of your LS, you can do that too.
I didn't know the full house was that equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned.
Full house. It's a full house plus because if you look in the box, it comes with the actual 24X and 58X crank triggers.
Word.
You know, we got a few people running carbureted applications, but they're running like E85 carburetors boost, and they need all the extra coil they can get. Now, if we was to make a cost-effective variant of that didn't require all those massive capacitors to charge those coils, then that might be something more along the lines of like a heavily modified High Roller Pro that'll accept a map sensor and retard for boost and all kinds of silly things like that. Somebody pitched that idea last night, and I was reading it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm fond of that.
Word.
I'm fond of it. So I'm gonna. It's I am not gonna add to my list. It's already on my list. So I'm gonna ask them.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah. Let's shoot. I want to play with one.
All right. Joe Huffman, we're running out of time, but we'll try to get through these. At least. Hey guys, I'm running a kill shot on my Ford 300. When will the update? When will we have the update to select the number of cylinders? I would like for my tack to read correctly. Also, I would love to see a distributor for the 300 made by you guys.
Sweet.
I don't know how big that market is.
The 306, huge. That engine's from 1995 all the way back to 1946. The Ford 306 was in everything from airport applications, farming equipment, pickup trucks, some cars. I personally own one. It's fantastic. DFW Speed Syndicate, big shout out to those cats. They're out
also
there
facts.
Blistering tires with 306s, and I think they got their own distributor or something like that too. Nice dudes, but they do a banging tune on a 300. I think they got some world records with the 306 right now.
Huh.
Yeah, they've got 30 or 40
I didn't know it was that
world
big.
records. Oh, dude, the 306.
Sweet.
You can tow any mountain. You just can't tow it fast with the 306. But yeah, that's cool. I would also like to see a Hall effect distributor for the 306. I think that'll be more applicable to cover both TBI and multi-port with that as well. When we do more, less than 8-cylinder multi-port stuff down the road. Because you get a fuel-injected 306 with a Hall effect distributor, and you got multi-port. Talk about a runner. You just go all day. Make me knock the dust off my Ford and drive that thing a few times.
Word.
You know, if I keep all the rust from falling off.
That's another
issue.
issue.
You always tell where I park when I park that truck. There's a ring. There's a square ring of flakes.
No.
It's like the truck has psoriasis of the rust. It's just, it leaves flakes in the parking lot.
No. But I guess there are probably a bunch of people that have similar things that they're running into.
Yeah, then we have 2 more questions, or we're going to call it good?
We're running out. We can...
Fine.
We can go back to it if we want, but I think we're running out of time.
Okay, we're running out of time.
Running out of time.
Running out of time.
No, but, yeah. That about wraps it up for us, Tim. Thank you for coming over here to the studio.
Thanks.
Das Studio.
Das Studio.
Das Studio. And recording another episode of Tech Tuesday with me. Next episode is 70, which is wild. I'm doing this 70 times. But, yeah. Guys.
Need more music with more wah-wah pedal.
Yeah.
Butterfly collar. Oh, man.
That's true. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Tech Tuesday. If you liked it, feel free to leave a like down below. If you have any comments about ACES fuel injection or EFI in general, feel free to leave a comment down below, and we'll do our best to get to it in the next Tech Tuesday video. For those that we missed due to time, we can also do our best to try and get back to those at the beginning of the next Tech Tuesday episode. But yeah, or if you have other people that are looking to, switch to fuel injection, you can send them our way as well, and we'd love to answer any questions that they may have. But yeah, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see all of you in the next video. Bye for now.